Please be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, and most importantly, graduating students, welcome to this grand occasion. Graduation is always an exciting time, for it signals not only an ending, but a beginning. Thus, it is appropriately called commencement. It is my privilege to introduce to you here this morning our special platform guests. And as I introduce each one, I would ask that they stand and remain standing until all introductions have been made. Also, please hold your applause until we have completed all introductions. Beginning in the front row on my left, Mr. Warren Newsmeyer, Chairman of the Salt Lake Community College Board of Trustees. Mr. Ed Main, special guest today. Mr. Michael Martinez, member of the Board of Trustees. Mr. Larry Miller, special guest. Mr. Randall Mackey, member of the Board of Trustees. From my right, on the front row, Dr. Cecilia Foxley, Commissioner, Utah System of Higher Education. Julie Barrett, member of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Joanne Burnside, former chair, member of the Salt Lake Community Board of Trustees, and special guest here today, Dr. Ann Erickson, academic vice president. Second row, beginning on my right, Dr. Donald Christensen, State Board of Education, Regent Evelyn B. Lee, Regent Pamela J. Atkinson, Andrea Udy, former student body president and participant on today's program, Mr. Walter Cox, our student speaker for the day, Mr. Randy Foote, the Alumni Council president, Bonnie Jean Beasley, member of the Board of Trustees, Mr. Tom Forsgrim, member of the Board of Trustees, Hiram Malloy, student body president. In the third row, beginning on my right, Mr. Heber Hunt, business vice president, Dr. J. L. Nelson, president emeritus, Dr. Orville Carnahan, president emeritus, Brent Goodfellow, executive assistant to the president, Catherine Boswell, assistant to the president, Dr. Michael Homer, dean of the School of Business and Industry, Mr. David Ballard, representing the School of Humanities and Sciences and division chair of the Math and Sciences, Dr. Jeffrey Bruger, the dean of Continuing and Community Education, Elwood Zog, dean of the School of Technology, Jaco Salazar, Skills Center director. On the fourth row from my left, Loretta Walker, communications professor, and Mr. Chad Gibbs, public information specialist, and they are both participants on today's program. Please welcome our platform guests. Graduates, this is your day. In a sense, it's our day too. Salt Lake Community College, we do many things. If you look about you this morning, you will see beautiful grounds and facilities. And we have faculty and staff and administrators and board members, all of whom come together to serve you. And we understand we are here because of you. Commencement is a time of reflection on past experience and success, and it is a time to enjoy and savor the present. It is also a time to look to the future. As you look to your futures and your plans, whether they include entering the job market, applying new skills and abilities to your current employment, or transferring to a university, we all hope you have accomplished your educational goals to this point. We hope you feel prepared to achieve that which you desire, and we hope you have a sense of ownership of Salt Lake Community College. We are the community's college, and we are your college. You know, education is a wonderful thing. It opens new doors, it provides new opportunities, it expands our ability to think and to reason and to apply learned concepts to new problems and challenges. It allows us to pursue individual and collective happiness in a meaningful way. And certainly those of us who have committed our lives to education will attest to these principles. And I know that as I look into your faces, you represent years of hard work and dedication and sacrifice to attain that which we celebrate here today. This is no small thing. It is a major accomplishment. As committed as I am to education, it seems it must do more and serve a greater purpose than simply getting a degree or a job. I'm certain that all of us at this college hope that your education will enhance the meaning in your lives and as a result assist you in building a better world. On occasion, I have had a student who placed such a high priority on classwork, degree seeking, or intensive training that he or she lost the vision of what was most important in these short number of years we call life. I hope each one of you has your priorities in order. To live a life of service to others, have love and affection within the scope of your family, your spouse, your friends, your neighbors, seems to me to be the most important thing. To help create a world of civility, a world tolerant of differences, a world in which ideas are respected and can flow freely, seems to me to be the more important outcome of our educational experience. I truly hope we have assisted and enabled you to be a leader in these areas. For in the final analysis, we each have a responsibility to do our best to improve the human condition. Now, please accept my personal congratulations and take with you my best wishes and hopes for success, and do the very best you can to realize all of your life's dreams. Thank you. As an institution of higher education, it is appropriate that we celebrate learning and teaching and the pursuit of excellence in all that we do. As one more step in this process, the college has initiated a relatively new tradition of designating a distinguished faculty lecture series. Each year during the winter quarter, a faculty member selected by a committee of peers delivers a scholarly lecture in his or her field. This is presented to students and faculty and staff and administration, as well as guests from the educational community and the Utah community at large. For the 1994-95 academic year, Kathy McIntyre, Associate Professor of Developmental Studies, has been chosen as the distinguished faculty lecturer. Kathy, will you please stand? Thank you. That's a distinct honor, and we look forward to hearing from Associate Professor McIntyre next winter. Each year, through the generous contributions of the Salt Lake Community College Foundation, a number of our faculty are honored for their teaching excellence. As one might expect, the selection of such a group is extremely difficult. Our graduates here today are the strongest evidence that there are many, many outstanding faculty at this institution. Nevertheless, through a process of objective ratings and based on student evaluations and recommendations from the deans of each of the college's 4 schools, 5 full-time faculty members and 1 adjunct faculty member have been selected for this year's awards. The awards going to the full-time faculty members are $5,000 each, and a $1,000 award to the adjunct faculty member. This year it is my privilege and pleasure to recognize the following persons, and I would ask them to come forward as I read their names. First, Dr. Victor Aikenobari, an instructor in the social science area. I might say, as Victor's approaching, last year we had rain, and the year before we had wind, and the year before we had rain, and this year you have warmth. I'd like to ask Mr. Tom H. Davies, Associate Professor of Mechanical and Pre-Engineering, to come forward, please. Also, Ms. Stephanie Fazio, Assistant Professor in Developmental Studies. I'd like to ask Karen McFarland, Assistant Professor of Marketing and Business Communication. And last of our 5 full-time faculty members, Marlene Tucker, Associate Professor of Radiologic Technology. And to our adjunct faculty recipient, Tony Reed, Instructor of Small Equipment Vehicle Repair.
Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests and students, it is with great pleasure that I present to you my friend, Mr. Ed Main, the first of this year's recipients of honorary Doctor of Humane Letters degrees. Mr. Main was born within sight of the gigantic open pit copper mine in Bingham Canyon. He graduated from Granger High School, then attended Snow College in Ephraim, Utah. When he started to work at the copper mine, he transferred to the University of Utah Evening School. He married Karen Main, and the couple have 2 children, Paul and Jamie. A hard rock miner for 14 years, he became a member of the United Steelworkers of America, Local 485, where he served as both president and vice president. As president and vice president, his primary interest was in the health and safety of the employees. Over the years, he has served with distinction on countless regional and national safety committees. Mr. Main currently serves more than 72,000 Utah union members and their families as spokesman for organized labor. Also, Mr. Main gives a voice to the unorganized workers of the state. Elected at age 31, he was the youngest state federation president in U.S. history. His major duties include representing the interests of union families before the Utah State Legislature and the U.S. Congress. He attends meetings of more than 50 state, local, governmental, and private committees, including, among others, the Utah State Constitutional Revision Committee, the Utah State Tax Revision Study Committee, the United Way Executive Board, the Healthcare Cost Containment Committee, the Salt Lake International Airport Authority Board, the Board of Directors of Blue Cross Blue Shield, the Firemen's Civil Service Commission, Workmen's Compensation and Unemployment Advisory Committee, the Utah Legislative Criminal Gang Activity Task Force, and the White House Conference on Families. Mr. Main's relationship with the Salt Lake Community College has been long. He has been on campus many times, helping the college organize and offer many technical vocational apprenticeship programs. Mike?
One of the factors that we all have in common is time. And how wisely we use our time will ultimately be our legacy to our community and society in general. We value time so much that we break it down to the millionth of a second. Yet it is not something that we can buy. It is not something that you can give. But we all control our own time. And how wisely we use it will ultimately be our measure, our legacy. Ed Main has always made time to help those less fortunate. He has spent more time than he has asked. Because of the wise use of his time, many of us have benefited, and many of you will benefit in the workplace. It is a better place to be because of the wise use of his time. We hope by our acknowledgement of how wisely he has used his time that we can see that ultimately it is how we decide to spend that time that we will be remembered. And we wish to acknowledge that the wise use of time benefits society, benefits us as individuals, and makes a difference. So I'm very honored and proud to be able to assist in the presentation of this award to Ed Main.
President Budd, Commissioner of Higher Education Cecilia Foxley, ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, students, graduating students, my family, my in-laws, my children, mom and dad. Lou Gehrig, a great Yankee baseball player, once said that he was the luckiest person in the world as he was explaining to the crowd at Yankee Stadium that how he was able to play baseball and get paid at the same time. You know, I feel like I am the luckiest person in the world to be in a position to make change in a positive manner and to help people's lives a little bit better. I am truly honored, and you honor my family and me with this deed today. And truly, I am honored and proud. But I do not accept this for my family or for myself, but on behalf of Utah's working families, men, women, and children, whose real sacrifice and service to their country, to their state and community are the real reason that Utah is a little bit better place to live. And as you go about your life experiences from this day forward, let your heart help your mind in making those great decisions. Thank you very, very much.
Joanne, would you join me? We're going to do this one alone. Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests and students, it's with a great deal of pleasure today that I present to you Dr. Joanne Burnside, the second of this year's recipients of the Honorary Doctor of Humane Letters degrees. Educated at Westminster College, Brigham Young University, where she received a Doctorate of Education degree, and Princeton University, Joan is a member of Alpha Delta Kappa and the Honor Society Phi Kappa Phi, and also the American Society for Training and Development. She lives in Sandy with her husband Ernest, and they have 4 children, 2 daughters and 2 sons, and I believe a couple of whom are with us today. Certainly Ernest is with us, and we appreciate his support through the years. Professionally, however, it is a long list, and I am proud to be able to share that with you today. Joan has been a manager trainer at Hercules Incorporated for years. She was the executive director of the Utah Mental Health Association, the executive director of the Children's Museum of Utah, and currently she is working for the Utah Department of Health as a human resource trainer. Joan has committed her education through her profession and years of service to this community. She served as chairman of the board of the Utah State Board of Education, the regional vice president and first vice president of the National Congress of Parents and Teachers, and she was the president and executive director of the Utah Congress of Parents and Teachers. She has also served ably as the chair of the board for the Utah Transit Authority. In fact, there's a trend here, if any of you are picking this up. Joan will serve on a committee, and it doesn't take very long before she's the chair of that committee and working very hard in their behalf. She's also served on the High Technology Advisory Council to the Utah State Department of Community and Economic Development, the Festival of the Arts, KSL Advisory Board, Utah State Systems Planning Board, and the Utah Opera Board. As you can see, Joan has contributed greatly to our community, and with her experience and her professional training. We value that contribution. In granting this award, however, we want to go a step further and award her for her service to the Salt Lake Community College. Joan served for 8 years on the Board of Trustees board, was the institutional counsel. Again, back to that trend, Joan was on the board for 6 months when she became the chairman of the Board of Trustees here at the college, and she served there for 8 years. In that capacity, she devoted endless hours on the college's behalf. No one is more committed to the mission of Salt Lake Community College than Joan, and few have donated more hours. She represented this college before boards, legislative committees, business groups, industry interested in collaborative learning. It was a successful era for this school, and Joan was tough when she needed to be, professional, and always caring. I was always proud of my association with her. Through the years, I have Joan at several of these commencements and also at different honorary dinners mention a couple of times, and only a couple of times, as she honored an individual, that individual was a giant among men. I thought at that time that I hoped there would be an opportunity when I could return that compliment, because Joan, you are a giant among all of us. And it is for that reason that I have a great deal of pleasure and honor on behalf of the Board of Regents and the Board of Trustees to honor Joanne Burnside with an honorary doctorate of humane letters from this college. Congratulations, Joan.
Thank you so much, Julie. President Budd, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, students, family. I feel as though I might have just attended my own funeral. They probably won't say that many nice things when it is. I do accept this not so much for what I might have done, but honorably because of the people I have known since I've been associated with this college. I recall watching President J. Nelson as he used to appear before the State Board for Vocational Education when he made his presentation so well planned out, so professionally, and represented this institution as its first president. I recall Dr. Kogel, who served for a brief period of time, and James Snurl, who was the interim president for a brief period. What a marvelous artist he was and still is. I remember when Dr. Carnahan came, and that was when I came on the board. I had the privilege of serving with President Carnahan, not just as the chairman for the Board of Trustees, but we started a tradition that lasted. President Carnahan and I had lunch together every month, and I cherished those meetings with President Carnahan and came to understand and acknowledge what a tremendous person he really is. And then to Heber Hunt. Heber was the glue that held this institution together in the interim between President Carnahan and President Budd. He's a true gentleman. I remember when President Carnahan said to me that he was hoping to be able to get Heber to come from the legislative office and be a part of this institution, and how fortunate we would be if he would do that. And indeed, this institution is fortunate to have had him with us. And then the man for the time, President Budd. President Budd and I continued the tradition of meeting monthly for luncheon. We solved all the problems in the world. Not too many of the problems at the college, because there were very few under President Budd. But I deeply cherished those times. The people who are part of this institution and the people who are seated on this stand today, students, have given a great deal of their life, their time, and their talent to make it possible for you to be here today. I congratulate you and I honor them. It would not be fitting to not recognize, and I hope I don't forget all of you, but it would not be fitting to not recognize Dr. Ann Erickson, who is a very special friend. Also to Judd Morgan, to whom I still pay blackmail money. To Curtis Smoot, who made every meeting we ever had a challenge simply because you never knew whether you dared to sit down or open a program. To Jay, to Kathy, to Brent, to Joyce, to Yvonne, to all of the faculty, to all of you who have made this institution what it is, my heartfelt thanks and appreciation. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests and students, it is with pleasure that I present to you Mr. Larry H. Miller, the last of this year's recipients of Honorary Doctor of Humane Letters degrees. Larry Miller is truly a great success story in our country today. He's a remarkable man who cares deeply for others and who has contributed so much to our college, to our community, and to our state. Mr. Entrepreneur himself, Larry H. Miller, has made it happen through sheer determination and hard work. He has been named Utah Entrepreneur of the Year and has been inducted into the Utah Entrepreneurs Hall of Fame. A native of Salt Lake City, Larry attended West High School where he met and later married his sweetheart, Gail Saxton. He and Gail have 5 children and 9 grandchildren at last count. He began his career as an automotive parts jobber with Peck & Shaw, Toyota, GMC. Later he moved to Denver, Colorado to take a job as a parts manager. Before long he was general manager of a dealership, then operations manager over a 5-dealer network. In 1979 he moved back to Utah and purchased his first automotive dealership, Toyota Murray. He now owns 21 dealerships in 4 states, selling Chevrolet, Geo, Toyota, Chrysler Plymouth, Mazda, Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, Audi, Hyundai, Dodge, Subaru, Lexus, Oldsmobile, Cadillac, Honda, Lincoln Mercury, and Volvo vehicles. In 1985, he bought Utah NBA franchise, the Jazz. Since then, he has built the Delta Center and headed the committee that built the Franklin Quest Stadium for Utah's new professional baseball team, the Buzz. He also purchased KJZZ, Channel 14, which broadcasts some of the ball games. Larry sponsors a world-class amateur fast-pitch softball team, one of his special interests, because he himself was, a few years ago, a world-class fast-pitch pitcher. In fact, he was inducted into the ISC World Softball Hall of Fame last August. Mr. Miller has a long-standing association with Salt Lake Community College. He has appeared before many management classes, conducted a 2-day entrepreneurship seminar, was the ATC's grand opening keynote speaker, a guest speaker for the Salt Lake Community College Foundation, and has offered advice and rich experience to dozens of college staff and faculty members. Mr. Miller.
Well, first of all, it's kind of hard to sit here and listen to all those nice words said about you. As Joan said, that's the kind of thing you expect at a funeral. I would like to thank my wife, Gail. On the way here this morning, I told her that I felt that we had been very fortunate as husband and wife and as a family to have been honored in many ways, and that I felt that she, through her support in so many ways, had earned at least half of all those honors, and that's a role that she finds hard to accept, but it's the way I feel. And of course, I would like to thank SLCC and all those responsible for selecting my family and myself for an honor such as this, and it is humbling and gratifying, of course. But I'd like to take just a moment and speak to those of you who are graduating today, and to salute you for the efforts that you've made that culminate in the commencement exercises that we are sharing right now. I think a lot of times when we look at higher education, we think of certain roles that it fills in our community, but the roles that community colleges fill are exciting to me because I believe that they target so dead center what it is that we as a dynamic, thriving, growing community and state really need in terms of being able to provide educational opportunities to you and others like you that can prepare you to fill the challenging roles that each of you will go forward and fill. I think that to all of us, I would say that we ought to recognize and work hard to perpetuate and help grow the opportunities that community colleges provide. I think that each one of you has a special story that you can tell about the price that you paid to get where you are today. I also submit to you that it's likely that many of you look forward with happiness, but also a little apprehension as you enter the job market or renew your efforts in an already existing career that you've chosen but want to expand yourself in, with a little bit of apprehension because of all the competition out there and so on. But I will say to you from at least one person's point of view, and one who would hope to count himself as your friends, that there is opportunity as you define opportunity for each one of you out there, that you each can choose a path, and whether it's a career path and within your family and keeping your priorities all together and straight, to become successful by whatever terms you designate for yourself as successful. That kind of opportunity exists for all of us in this land that we live in a free market economy, and with the freedoms we enjoy in this land. And I would close by saying that I wish every one of you well. I hope that all of you can achieve, from whatever comes to you in your future, the things that you set out to accomplish when you set out on this journey, and then some. Good luck to all of you, and again, thanks to the college for this honor.
It's my privilege now to introduce to you our student speaker for today, Mr. Walter Cox. Mr. Cox is a student who returned to school after 25 years of successfully running his own business. In 1985, he came to the college to test for his GED. Yesterday, he graduated from the University of Utah College of Health in the Department of Communication Disorders with a 3.95 grade point average. Today, he is graduating from Salt Lake Community College with a 4.0 grade point average. He has recently been accepted into graduate school at the University of Utah. Mr. Cox is married and the father of 7 children, so now please welcome Mr. Walter Cox.
Commissioner Foxley, Chairman Newsmeyer, President Budd, graduates, faculty and staff, and guests. A pack of dogs were gathered on a street corner. The dogs were telling each other of all the woes and troubles that they'd experienced throughout their lives. There was a large number of them, so the conversation became very loud. Suddenly, the most observant one of them all let out a cry, "The dog catcher!" Immediately, animals scattered in every direction as fast as they could go. About 1 or 2 blocks away, one of them stopped and asked, "Why am I running? I am a cat." It's really easy to get caught up and run with the pack. However, for most of us to be successful, we must be different. We've already proven that we can be different by being here today. Many here have paid a terribly high price, and I don't speak of money, to meet the requirements of graduation. The Salt Lake Community College graduation requirements specifies that we gain a certain level of competence in varied disciplines. Many of us, including me, would have preferred a tighter focus of study, excluding subjects that were not in our majors. However, the diversity demanded by this college is best for us in the long run. Let me illustrate the need for diversity in education as well as diversity in our lives. As graduates, nearly all of us have taken Communications 110 and many Business 105. From them, we learned that there were 3 economic eras. The first was the agricultural era, and it went up through the 1980s. At that time, the chart of finance was a pyramid. There were many poor on the bottom and few rich on the top. If our parents could have given us an inheritance, it would have been land and the ability to work hard. Next was the industrial era, where 95% of the people left the farms, leaving only 5% to provide crops. The chart of finance for this era was a diamond. There were few poor on the bottom, few rich at the top, and lots of middle class. An inheritance during this era would be a factory job with a union connection. Not many skills were needed at this time. A person just needed to be dependable and obedient. The third economic era is now. This is the information and communication era, where the necessary skills are ingenuity, communication, motivation, and the ability to adapt. An inheritance from parents of today would be to teach their children to survive and thrive in a changing environment. There will be chaos during the next 15 years because things will be constantly changing. For example, 30% of American women between the ages of 18 and 65 are single. 50% of American women will spend a significant amount of time single. 47% of students today drop out of high school. The United States used to lead the world in education. Now we are third, behind Japan and Germany. Our economic chart now is an hourglass. There are many rich on the top, many poor on the bottom, and few middle class in the center. Our inheritance must be education and the ability to adapt. A high-powered employment consultant was coaching a client interviewing for a job that would net him a yearly salary of $1.25 million. During the course of that interview, the employers took the hopeful man out to dinner. He had good table manners. He didn't chew with his mouth open. He didn't make embarrassing noises at the table. And his conversation was intelligent and appropriate. However, as a result of that meal, he was not hired. The consultant was distraught. He groveled with the employer and he asked him why. Serving utensils were cited as the deciding factor. The man had handled fish utensils as if they were being used for beef. The consultant was incredulous. You mean he's qualified for this job in every way, and you're not going to hire him because of fish utensils? How many people know the difference between how to use fish utensils and beef utensils anyway? Everybody I know, responded the employer. If he doesn't have the proper eating etiquette, I wonder what else he doesn't know. This prospective employee's training had been tightly focused, and he was certainly well trained for the job. However, he needed to be even more rounded and diversified. Diversity in education might include knowing proper etiquette and knowing specific customs of varied cultures. Without this knowledge, our educational insight at times seems to fall short. We, the graduating class, are grateful not only for the academics, but for the education we have received. Many thanks to our excellent professors and this wonderful institution. Now, the future is promising, and our possibilities are limitless. As we continue to become educated, break down the barriers between people, and learn about each other, we become the united family of man, ready to move into the universe and assume our role in the future. May we as graduates be blessed to hold a future as brightly in our lives and in our hearts and minds as it really actually is. Thank you.
President Budd, Commissioner Foxley, honored guests, faculty, students, and friends.
Each spring, as we approach the end of yet another academic year, I anticipate with great excitement the opportunity to share just a moment of this most important occasion with you, the graduates, and with your families, your friends, and your professors. I think about you as I prepare my remarks. I think how you have stretched your minds, you have juggled your lives, you have made education your highest priority. I think of your difficulties and contemplate your sacrifices and your successes. The anticipation for me is exhilarating, but nothing like this moment. When I look into your faces, that is the real exhilaration. I see in your faces 2, 3, maybe 4 or more years of enormous effort and toil, and I see results of your efforts as well as that of your dedicated, talented, quality faculty. I see that these teachers, professors, friends of yours who value teaching above any other profession have worked and toiled to train and educate you to stretch your minds toward ever higher peaks of learning. I see in your faces the results of their prodding, encouraging, supporting, the results of their belief in you, the results of their skills and their dedication. As a result, I see each of you teetering on the edge, ready to take a gigantic leap into the 21st century. And as you take that leap, you join thousands of others who have gone before you, here at SLCC, all over America, all over the world, really. That precipice, that leap is steep. It's frightening, but it's inevitable. And you have an advantage like they. Your advantage, of course, is a quality education, one which we hope has just begun to make you an educated person for an uncertain future. As you take that leap after today, we hope you have achieved a depth of understanding in a particular field of knowledge, that you have learned to communicate effectively by written and oral means, that you can draw reasonable conclusions from information found in various sources that you can comprehend, that you can develop and use concepts and generalizations, that you can distinguish between fact, opinion, and fiction, that you can appreciate the cultural richness and variety of this nation and have some understanding of other cultures of our world, that you can understand something of moral and ethical values of our culture and have an understanding of the physical nature in the world in which we live. For we believe that these are the marks of an educated person. We trust you have experienced a learning environment here in which you learned a skill, but also were challenged with ideas and concepts, which provoked, perturbed, unsettled, invigorated, and changed your view of the world. We know you've encountered teachers dedicated to their subjects, willing to give attention to each of you. And as you begin that leap, as you take that leap, we issue just 3 challenges to you. First, exercise your mind, read, write, go back to school, exchange ideas, be creative and reflective, share what you've learned with others, and make a lifelong commitment to learning. Second, have a happy heart. Laugh, live, create, share surprises, help others, find joy in your life. And third, fear not for the future. The best thing about the future is that it comes only one day at a time. It's not totally out of your control, but if you take care of today, most of the future will take care of yourself. So take care of today by celebrating and enjoying, and then look ahead to that future. We salute you, we congratulate you, we celebrate today with you. Congratulations, graduates. Mr. Newsmeyer, will you join me at the podium, please? Mr. Chairman, upon recommendation of the faculty, and on behalf of both the faculty and the deans of the Schools of Business and Industry, Continuing and Community Education, Humanities and Sciences and Technology, it is my honor and pleasure to present the candidates for graduation. Will the candidates for graduation please arise? By virtue of my authority as Academic Vice President of Salt Lake Community College, I certify that these candidates for graduation from all schools of the college have fulfilled their individual requirements and are qualified to receive Associate of Science, Associate of Arts, or Associate of Applied Science degrees, certificates of completion, certificates of graduation, or diplomas. I recommend with pleasure that each candidate receive the appropriate award.
As chair of the Salt Lake Community College Board of Trustees and on behalf of the state of Utah, I congratulate and accept these graduates. Please be seated.
School of Business and Industry, Accounting, Michael Dan Feston.
Kenneth Ray Parker.
Vicki Jo Allen.
Lori Partridge.
Steve Cooley.
Cherie S. Wilden.
Melissa Jane Johnson.
Angel Lou Romero.
Karen H. Black.
Dora Huang Deng.
Mary Simpson Walter.
Evelyn S. Green.
Nin T. Nguyen.
Karen R. Casper.
Shauna Pei.
Andrea Michelle Kirk.
Trina M. Howard.
Robert Allen Davis Jr.
Frances Marie Arrego.
Kay Louise B. Smith.
Connie Hanson Reynolds.
Margaret Elaine Cook. Kim Kirkwood.
Thomas Walter Otto.
Tammy Morgan.
Scott M. Fellstrom.
Business. Kevin Lee Davis.
Patti Kulesa Falo.
Christine Lee Cameron.
Jennifer Milne Richens.
Matthew Lee Koyman.
Brenda H. Cruz.
Vaddy Sray.
Jim Young.
Candace T. Fraher.
Renelle S. Johnson.
Todd P. Palmer.
Daryl Scott Mason.
Swain Stanford Winterton.
Travis K. Taylor.
Lisa Albrechtston.
Alan Craig Waite.
Christy Lee Bateman Broshinsky.
David LeVar Carlson.
Jennifer Ann Rake.
Paula Abdul Simper.
Jamie Arlene Christensen.
Tam Hui Duong.
Kirsten Diane Longson.
Gordon Henry Mertens.
Rona Lorraine Johnson.
Lisa Simone Baker.
Polly Gay Rowe.
Ko T. Dang.
Brent Wayne Jones.
Masahiro Fukuoka.
Tetsunori Mizuno.
Shelley Lynn Hone.
Tamara Dull.
Mark Wayne Cruz.
Vicky Lynn Esparza.
Cindy Esparza.
Roman Jele Tafisi.
Susan Atkin.
Jenny Cheng Pon.
Jeff Waihong Leong.
Seng I Pak.
Lorraine Smith.
Kazufumi Uema.
Business Management, Susan M. Spooner.
Lana Lynn Hurley.
Carolyn Parker.
Lisa Beatty.
Shukuri M. Besizo.
Elvia Elizabeth Diaz.
Dion Russell Smith.
Rhonda Gail Chavez.
Suzette Helene Kuiman.
Computer Information Systems, A. James Ball.
Jo May Brannicky.
Dean Brian Jaramello.
Darcy Laree Douglas.
Todd Allen Christensen.
Jack Yusing Lee.
Finance and Credit, Terry Lynn Blomquist.
Victoria Dawn Contreras.
Eric Dean Gillen.
Gary I. Farron.
Patricia Mercado.
Terry Lynn Anderson.
Dennis R. Davis.
Information Processing Systems, Catherine A. Anderson.
Shauna Marie McDaniel.
Denise Joanne Mercado.
Anita Placencia.
Lorley Rigby.
Marty Rose Bassier.
Colleen Ann Smith.
Janice I. Gray.
Jennifer Lynn Lowe.
Jennifer Degelbeck.
Michelle L. Jones.
Integrated Systems Specialist, Ella Lorraine White.
Logistics Management, Philip Eugene Jacobson.
Teresa N. Murdoch.
Sydney H. Garrett.
Marketing Management, Kenneth Scott Robertson.
Marilee Felter.
And Jeanette Colette Alstrom.
Lucy Dixon Armstrong.
Thomas R. Harris.
Lorraine R. Augustin.
Rebecca Angeweirden.
Karen Mansborg.
Manufacturing Technology, Gregory Brian Lowry.
William David Sparks.
Alan R. Langford.
Office Management, Karen B. Crook.
Donna V. Sandoval.
Lisa K. Damon.
Julie Ann Nowers.
Secretarial Technology, Carolyn Kemple Trevino.
Pamela Lynn Brockmeyer.
Gail P. Knight.
School of Continuing and Community Education, Surveying, Frank Joseph Verrucci, Jr.
Ethnic Minority Human Services, Tina Lynn Lindsay.
Linda Marie Wright.
Connie Lee Ulibari.
Tamara Jane Osborne.
Sandra L. Jones.
Cynthia Joan Hallery.
Carol Shaw.
Rebecca Bowman. Hi.
Lorraine Grace Anderson.
Robin Stacy Fassett.
Rebecca Lynn Sprague.
Paola Munoz.
Dolores Dia Lobato.
School of Humanities and Sciences, Communication, yay. Karen Ray Grange.
Troy Eugene Swackhammer.
Alan Newbold.
Bruce David North.
Ellen Christine Radford.
Gloria Kennedy Quick.
Computer Science Technology, Samuel Fred Kuhn.
Marcia J. Struhl.
Criminal Justice, Leslie D. Wahlberg.
Lisa Lee Evans Long.
Tammy Mast Christensen.
Christine Kropp.
Ernie Hasna.
Wanda L. Kahn.
Leslie Ann Campbell.
Joseph Timothy Thomas.
Paul Robert Addy.
Michael Gillette Hales.
Karen Marie Peterson.
Early Childhood Development, Patricia J. Tompkins.